On a cold January afternoon in 2009, passengers boarded U.S. Airways Flight 1549 at New York's LaGuardia Airport, expecting nothing more than a routine flight to Charlotte. The Airbus A320 sat quietly at the gate, its engines silent, its destination ordinary. There was no indication that within minutes, this flight would become one of the most extraordinary survival stories in aviation history. At 3:24 p.m., the aircraft lifted off into the pale winter sky. The climb was smooth, uneventful. Inside the cabin, passengers settled in, some reading, others staring out at the skyline of Manhattan shrinking beneath them. Then, just over 2 minutes after takeoff, everything changed. A flock of birds, large, dense, and unavoidable, suddenly appeared ahead. In an instant, both engines ingested birds. The impact was violent. Loud bangs echoed through the cabin. Flames briefly shot from the engines. Then silence. The engines, the very heart of the aircraft, had failed. Inside the cockpit, Captain Chesley Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles were thrust into a scenario no pilot ever wants to face. Total loss of thrust at low altitude, over one of the most densely populated cities in the world. Altitude was slipping away fast. Air traffic control immediately began offering options. Return to LaGuardia, divert to Teterboro. But calculations in the cockpit told a different story. The aircraft didn't have the altitude, nor the speed, to safely reach any runway. There was no time for hesitation, no time for doubt. Captain Sullenberger made a decision that would define the next 208 seconds. We're going to be in the Hudson. The aircraft descended silently, gliding like a powerless bird over Manhattan. Inside the cabin, confusion turned to fear. Flight attendants issued urgent commands, brace for impact, their voices cutting through the rising panic. Passengers looked out the windows and saw something surreal. The river was getting closer. In the cockpit, every second mattered. Speed, angle, descent rate, everything had to be perfect. Too steep, and the aircraft would break apart. Too shallow, and it could stall. The skyline reflected off the icy water below. And then, impact. The Airbus struck the surface of the Hudson River with a force that could have been catastrophic. But instead, it was controlled, precise, almost impossible. Water surged around the aircraft, but the fuselage held. The water temperature was near freezing. Time was critical. Within minutes, first responders reached the aircraft. One by one, all 155 people on board were rescued. Not a single life was lost. Investigators would later piece together the sequence of events in meticulous detail. The bird strike had caused catastrophic engine failure, something incredibly rare, especially affecting both engines simultaneously. Simulations later revealed a chilling truth. Attempting to return to an airport would likely have ended in disaster. The decision to land on the river wasn't just bold, it was the only option that worked. The crew's training, discipline, and composure under extreme pressure turned what could have been a tragedy into what the world would come to call the miracle on the Hudson.